So I think a lot of people can relate to this. You're competent, you're driven, you've got this massive goal that you're working so hard for.
Mm.
And then just as you get within sight of the finish line, you find a way to hit the brakes.
You do something that just torpedoes the whole thing.
Exactly. Maybe pick a fight with your most important client, or you miss that one final deadline on a project that would have launched your career.
It's the ultimate puzzle, isn't it? You know what to do, you have the skills, but something stops you.
Right. And we've looked at a whole stack of sources on this, and the one consistent finding is that this isn't some flaw in your character. It has a name. Self-sabotage.
And that's our mission today.
Yeah, that's what this deep dive is all about. We want to get into the wiring of self-sabotage. We want to understand why our own internal systems seem to fight against our success.
And, more importantly, figure out the actual actionable strategies to get back in control.
Okay, so let's just get right to it. What's the core finding?
The central idea, really, is that self-sabotage is almost never about being lazy or apathetic. It's a defense mechanism. A misdirected one, but a defense mechanism.
Rooted in what?
Fear. It's your internal threat detection system, basically running on old software, and it's trying to keep you safe by whispering, are you really ready for what happens next?
What happens next? Okay, let's unpack that. We're going to get into the really strange paradox of fearing success itself.
Something the sources often call the proximity effect.
Right. Then we'll break down how procrastination is really just the symptom, and finally we'll lay out the 4 very concrete steps for replacing that self-destruct sequence with a solid method. Okay, let's start with that first big roadblock, the fear of success. It just sounds so counterintuitive.
It really does.
We spend years, sometimes decades, working for something, and then our subconscious just launches a full-on defense against the positive outcome. Why? Why would our brain actively resist winning?
Well, that's the thing. It's not resisting the win. It's resisting what it thinks are the consequences of the win. Your brain, and especially your ego, it prefers a predictable kind of misery over unpredictable glory.
Wow.
And the closer you get to that success, that's the proximity effect you mentioned, the louder that alarm gets, because the stakes suddenly feel so much higher.
But what are the stakes exactly? What is the brain so worried about?
The sources are pretty clear on this. They point to 3 core anxieties. The first one is what you could call identity disruption.
Meaning?
Meaning the fear is, if I succeed, I won't be me anymore. You're afraid of losing your current identity, even if it's one you don't particularly like. It's comfortable.
So it's like the brain is resisting a software upgrade because it doesn't know the new operating system.
That's a perfect analogy.
Yeah.
Exactly. Then the second big anxiety is social rejection. Success changes where you stand in relation to your peers, right? So that internal voice starts worrying, will people judge me? Will they resent me? Will I outgrow my friends?
That's a deep evolutionary fear, the fear of being cast out of the tribe.
It is. And the third one ties right into that. It's public vulnerability.
Okay, so being more visible.
Right. The fear isn't actually of success, but of losing that success in public. The higher you climb, the further you can fall. So the brain does this sort of twisted calculation and concludes, if I succeed, my next mistake is going to be huge and public.
So to avoid that big, catastrophic public failure.
It triggers a small, controlled failure now. That's the self-sabotage.
Wow. So the first step to dismantling this isn't some complicated strategy then. It's just awareness.
It's awareness.
It's just asking yourself when you hesitate, is this a real obstacle? Or is this just my brain trying to protect me from being different or visible or judged?
That's it. You stop seeing it as a moral failing and you start seeing it as a data point driven by fear.
Okay, so once that fear takes root, how does it show up? I mean, what are the behaviors we can actually see?
Well, the most obvious one, the one everyone recognizes, is procrastination.
Right, and we're not just talking about, scrolling on your phone instead of working.
No. We mean the more sophisticated kind. The kind that feels productive. Over-researching, planning endlessly, but never doing.
Optimization paralysis.
Yes, that's it. It's the primary tool that internal defense system uses to just keep things as they are. When your mind is making excuses, it's because it's genuinely scared of the person you might become on the other side of that action.
It's the perfect defense, isn't it? If you spend 6 months building the perfect website, you never actually have to launch it and face rejection.
Precisely. Now, the fix for this has to be something that bypasses that emotional part of the brain.
Okay, so what is it?
The sources all point to this one really brilliant countermeasure, tiny actions, daily.
10 minutes at a time?
10 minutes. That's the key. Because 10 minutes is so small, it doesn't register as a threat to your subconscious.
It flies under the radar.
It flies under the radar. The fight or flight system doesn't get triggered. And by doing that small thing consistently, you're just accumulating these tiny wins that prove to your brain that the action isn't dangerous.
You're showing up for yourself in increments too small for the fear to argue with.
You got it.
But what happens when even that feels impossible? When you sit down for those 10 minutes and that voice just immediately starts screaming at you?
Then you're face to face with the source. You're confronting the inner critic.
You're not ready. You're gonna fail. You're not smart enough for this.
All of that. That voice is just old programming. It's the ego playing defense based on, learned behaviors or past hurts.
So how do you fight something that feels so fundamental? It feels like it is you.
You don't try to shut it up.
Yeah.
You can't. You aim to externalize it and then contradict it.
What does that mean, to externalize it?
It means instead of thinking, I am a failure, you practice hearing it as the critic is suggesting I am a failure. You create that little bit of distance.
Ah.
And then you talk back. When the critic says, you'll fail, you have a counter statement ready, something based on evidence. I can learn from mistakes. Failure is just a step.
And if it says, I'm not ready?
You reply, I can handle what comes next, even if it's messy.
So you're basically retraining that automatic negative loop.
Exactly. And the more you practice it, the quieter that critic's voice gets because you're starving it of validation. You're rewriting the script in real time.
So we've identified the fear, and we have a tool for talking back to that critic. Now let's get into the structure. How do we build a system for the long term?
Right. Because insight is great, but method is what creates change.
And the sources are clear on this. Success isn't magic, it's method.
Absolutely. And the method here really consists of 4 interlocking strategic steps. They build on each other to create a framework that makes self-sabotage, well, almost structurally impossible.
Okay, let's break them down. What's pillar number 1?
Number 1, break your goals into tiny, achievable steps. We talked about the 10-minute rule for getting started, but this applies to the whole project.
So not just write the book, but write 1 paragraph.
Or even open the document. Big, vague goals trigger the brain's alarm system. Tiny steps minimize the emotional barrier to entry. They make it easy to start.
Okay, so you've made the cost of entry super low. What's next? How do you measure it?
This is a crucial one. Number 2, track progress, not perfection.
Ah, that's a big distinction.
Huge. Perfectionism is a classic form of self-sabotage, right? It sets an impossible bar.
So you're guaranteed to feel like a failure.
Exactly. So instead, you track progress. How many days did you show up? How many 10-minute blocks did you complete? You shift your focus from the anxiety of the outcome to the consistency of the input.
I love that. It reframes what a win is. If I showed up, I won. It doesn't matter if the work was good that day.
Right. And then, number 3 locks that habit in. You have to celebrate the small wins.
This sounds simple, but I imagine it's pretty important neurologically.
It's pure neuroscience. Every time you complete a tiny step or track your progress, you pause and acknowledge it. Just a moment of, hey, I did the thing.
And that gives you a little dopamine hit.
It does. You are literally using your brain's own reward system to create a positive feedback loop with the very work that you used to cause fear. That builds momentum way faster than willpower ever could.
So we've built the engine, we've reinforced the wiring. What's the last step to protect the whole process?
Number 4, remove the distractions that feed the fear. This is about designing your environment for success.
Being proactive.
Very proactive. You have to physically or digitally eliminate the easy escape routes. If endlessly researching on the internet is your go-to sabotage move, you use a focus tool to block websites.
If a messy desk makes you feel overwhelmed and want to quit.
You design your space to be minimalist and action-oriented. You make it harder to fail than to succeed.
So if we put it all together, breaking it down, tracking the effort, rewarding the effort, and controlling the environment, every tiny action you take becomes another piece of evidence.
It becomes undeniable proof. You're building a case file of objective data that completely contradicts the inner critic's story about you.
Self-sabotage lives in that emotional story.
But strategy lives in quantifiable proof. And eventually, the proof just outweighs the panic.
So to sum this all up, the toolkit coming out of this deep dive is this. First, recognize that hesitation, that proximity effect, and see the fear behind it.
Then, implement those small, consistent actions to get around the brain's threat detection system.
And finally, use those specific evidence-based counterstatements to externalize that inner critic and just kind of talk it down.
That's it. Self-sabotage only has power because it operates in the dark, unchallenged. It thrives on you doing nothing and just accepting its fearful advice.
But now you have the tools to challenge it.
You have the tools to stop standing in your own way.
You've done the hard work of understanding the why, and now you have the exact method for the how.
You have the capacity. You understand the mechanism. So the final push is just to apply the method, trust the system you build, and go claim the success you've actually already earned.